Hello, Patreon listeners and
Woo!
video watchers. So excited to have you guys today. We have an extra special bonus episode because you can see our faces. Yes.
Yes.
Of course, if you want to see our faces all the time and get some video content up in your normal, regularly scheduled programming, definitely join the correct tier so you can get all of that. Today, me and Paige have an extra special episode for Father's Day, and we have an extra special guest, my dad, Damond Hawkins.
Woo! Thank you for joining us,
Yay.
Mr. Hawkins. We're very excited to have you here.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. I didn't know who I had to pay to get on here.
I know.
This is a great
Literally.
spot to be, so thank you.
Yeah.
Long time coming.
Celebrity dad.
Celeb dad.
So since our topic is all about Father's Day and we wanted to honor one of our This Is a Moment dads, I just got to ask, what does Father's Day mean to you?
For me, Father's Day is honestly just another day. It's
It is not special.
It's not really that special. It's I might get a tie or a pair of socks or something like that. But a dinner, definitely a good dinner on Father's Day. So yeah, I remember first time I realized anything about Father's Day, my dad, he bought himself a recliner chair
For himself.
For Father's Day. Yes.
For himself.
And I was like, that's Father's Day. Okay.
He had to treat himself.
Yeah. So I'm just getting back what I did. Actually, I get better than what I gave him. So
So is Father's Day not big in your house growing up?
No, not really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us into the next question. How do you guys normally celebrate Father's Day? You and Imia and your
All
other children, all your kids.
All the kids.
Yeah. Well, when like I said, when Maya and Shimon were little, they bought ties, for me every year, and where I worked, I wore tie every day, so that was a good deal.
Nice.
And socks, I didn't realize how much I appreciated socks until you have kids that had diapers and things like that, so you need socks.
Yes, you can never have too many socks. That's like a thing.
Yeah,
you'll never have too many of. Yeah.
Yes.
You're always missing a pair.
You always need underwear,
missing.
socks, bras,
yes.
Normal things.
Well,
yeah.
You don't
not
need
for
the
you.
bra,
Not for you.
Yeah, not yet.
Undergarments.
Not every day. Yeah. What's funny is your son now asks for socks every Christmas. That's what I get him now. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's come full circle. He also asks for socks.
That is so funny.
It's a good deal.
My boyfriend likes getting socks too. So maybe this is a guy thing.
Yeah.
Well, now it's the socks are in style. So like the the fancy,
true.
Designs on them and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if your boyfriend is into that or
he likes a stylish sock.
Yeah.
Like to see a style on my sock. I don't want a plain one.
Or a nice color. He's very into the colors and the color palettes. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, do you think Father's Day sort of gets the short end of the stick holidays wise?
Yes and no. Father's Day, it's at least we get recognized, right? I got to be on the podcast today because of Father's Day. So like I'm winning, right?
The best present.
Pair of socks, ties and dinner. But yeah, compared to Mother's Day, absolutely. But as a dad, I would always want Mother's Day to be celebrated more than Father's Day anyway. So
aw, how sweet.
He was, yeah. You were raised by a single mom, so there's always like a ton of appreciation for mothers.
Absolutely.
So you don't feel like, hey, fathers deserve more recognition. You're like, it's fine. This is what it is.
Because I feel like fathers are like that steady piece. I just like we're just there. We're just like we're just that constant. That's just that not too high, not too low. Just kind of stay in the course. So it doesn't it doesn't necessarily need all that attention. So I think it's cool.
Nice.
I'm not asking
Okay.
for too much.
Okay. He's satisfied because I know
Yeah.
some people who are like, fathers don't really get recognized or get credit for being a parent. Like people don't think fathers are important necessarily. Like a lot of the focus is on the mother, but you don't feel unimportant as a father with the way people treat Father's Day.
Father's Day.
One of my cousins, I remember I first moved to California and I didn't have like a lot of time. Maya was in college. I think Shemai was about to go off to college, and we wasn't talking all that much. And I was like, well, what's going on? And he was like, he said, do they call you when they need something? I was like, yes. Then you're doing your job because they know when they need it, they can come to dad.
That's true.
And that was big. When they were little kids and I was dropping them off at school, or actually picking them up from school is what it was. And I'd get them in the car. I don't know if you remember this, I'd say like, hey, how was your day? And they'd be like, fine. Then I go to the junior high school to pick up Shimon. How was your day, son? Fine. I'm like, all right. So we drive about 20 minutes to go home, and they're just quiet in the back of the car and not saying a word to me. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess nothing happened today. And then we walk in the house, open up the door. Their mom asks, like, hey, how was your day? And they're like, this and this happened. And it was such and such and such.
So
like,
made me sick.
I was like, I asked you guys that question in the car. Like, this did not come up not one time.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Felt attacked.
So
I don't remember that at all. That's so funny.
But that's like, moms have that connection like that with their kids. And like I said, the moments with dad, they happen, but just not as organically, I guess.
I will say, if that was the case, which I believe you, I just don't remember it. I believe you.
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying, no, I'm just kidding. No. I believe you. It's just when we want somebody to be, how you're like looking for the same energy. If you're telling a story and you're like, I can't stand so-and-so, like you like want somebody. So like, I feel like moms are always ready to do that. Like the moms are like, yeah, let's get them. Like they're, but like you're so like chill. I feel like we just wouldn't have gotten that. So we're like, it's okay. We'll wait.
Like, I'm going to save this story.
I'm going to save this because I need the hype reaction. And you're going to be like, well, did you really think about like what happened? I'm like, I don't want to rationalize it. I just want to be like hype. So, like,
yeah. That is so funny. I want before we move on, I just have a few more questions. So, Imia is your firstborn. So, how did fatherhood sort of change your life, or how did having, Imia as your firstborn, like, how did that feel?
Yeah. So I was a super irresponsible young man, like just awful. And my I remember holding her in my arms for the first time, thinking like, oh my gosh, there's somebody who actually depends on me. And for the first time in my life, I thought about it like things just totally start thinking about it totally differently. It used to be I'd wake up, if I woke up late to work 3 times in a week, I just quit, just wouldn't show up anymore. It's like it just wasn't meant to be work here anymore, right? And she came, was like, hey, I can't do that anymore. So I took things a little more seriously after that. And then, little phases, right? Then I used to be a cool guy, and I had the hat and the shoes to match every hat that I bought. So I'd buy a pair of sneaks every time I bought a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting to the shoe store to buy a new pair of kicks because I just found a new hat that I liked. And and I kept looking at the price of the shoes. And for some reason, my mind started calculating how many boxes of diapers I could buy instead. So that changed my mind frame as well. But she melted my heart. I wasn't, her godfather knows, like, I was not a good person for kids, not good around kids, not patient.
Don't give kids to
And he was
me.
like, when he saw me with her, he was like, I cannot believe that you're this guy, because you weren't like this.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah.
I
So
wouldn't have ever
I
guessed.
know. It wasn't a kid's guy. I was like, okay.
yeah, my friends, they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to leave their kids with me. They were like, no,
Oh
he
my
has no
gosh.
It's
patience.
not gonna watch him.
And
That is so
and
funny.
yeah, she came, and I was like, just melted. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I will say, like me and my dad have talked about that a few times actually. And I will say that that's one of the things that sticks out to me when I think about like, having kids and all of that stuff. I'm like, that's part of my thought process is like, things change. Like your mindset changes, you are really like aware of like, this person's going to need me forever. And so I was like, that does still come up for me. I do think about that. Like, yeah, my dad talks about that too. Like your whole mind changes. You're like, oh my gosh, this human is here.
And I'm telling you, us guys, we're different. So it's not going to be like a switch. Like, women seem to like switch. Guys, like we're switching, and then it's like we have to switch a little bit more. Then we have to switch a little bit more, and then a little bit more, because we just like it's hard giving up our selfishness, I guess. Where moms are much better at that.
Well, it starts sooner since it's growing in the belly.
Right.
You like already have to be thinking like, oh, okay.
That's a good call.
Can't eat certain things or can't drink certain things. You already you have
very
to
aware.
Switch earlier.
Dads are like, hey, I got designated driver.
Yeah. You're with me for life doing.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's funny. I had one more quick question. What did you feel the differences were raising a daughter versus raising your son? Like what were the differences in those relationships?
Yeah. So with Maya, it was I was able to do, I kind of took cues from her grandfather, her papa. I just watched like what he did with her, and like, getting down and playing tea party with her and stuff like that. Not needing to be cool, just do the things to make your little girl smile.
Yeah.
It was definitely tougher with the son, because my dad, we weren't close. And so I didn't really know how that dynamic was supposed to go. And so, Shaman, he was like, oh, like, he likes to hug and stuff like that. And I was like, are we supposed to hug? Like, are we supposed to, we're manly men, right? And so, we had to work our way, through some things for me to figure out, like, what's what with that.
Yeah.
But the younger he was, and plus, when he was young, he was really attached to his mom. Like mom just went like boy crazy, and so it's just like me and Maya over here, like, I don't know if she's gonna know that we're here. and then but the older he got, the more it was like, wanted to hang out with dad, and we started doing more things together. And then we just kind of enjoyed the same things. Then it was the kind of competition between the two of
who's got more attention.
Yeah.
Yes. Who's the favorite?
Who's the favorite?
Yeah, that was definitely the battle. So I went from having like a hey, hang out with kids on this day, to have a father-daughter day and a father-son day, because so they didn't fight for attention.
That's
untrue. Good. We still fight. It doesn't matter. Like none of that matters. We will fight forever.
So when I lived in California, we went to what is that? The aquarium.
Oh yeah,
in San Francisco, and the one in San Francisco, and on the pier there. And they on my spring break, we go in there, and we're like in and out of like what 20 minutes, right? 25 minutes, like
like I'm over the fish.
No, what's funny is I like fish. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, fish, and then we're out.
yeah, we're like selfies and talk,
Yeah.
making silly faces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because again, it's that competition. So if I take one there, I have to take the other one there. So Shimon Spring Bake, when he comes down and we go there, and we're like there almost 2 hours because he's talking through. He's like,
Right.
and this fish does this, and this is what Dad. This is really cool because it does this, and it was great because it was equally enjoyable for different reasons. Just
Right.
because I loved his excitement on and learning about like all the different fish and stingrays and whatever,
and
yeah, and then I just love being silly and taking selfies with Maya when we went. So different, but always
different personalities.
very much enjoyable. Yeah.
Aw,
for sure.
very sweet. Do you have a fun father-daughter memory, Imia?
We were talking about this. I didn't have any like off the top of my head other than but it's more of a family memory. My dad sings happy birthday in a very specific way. And so whenever we sing happy birthday to anybody, now it's just like we're copying him. But he did remind me of when I was a kid, we had father-daughter dances.
Oh, at school.
And so at school, we have a picture. I'll have to find it. We have a picture and it's so cute, but it was like my first father-daughter dance. And I do remember this. They played, oh my gosh, what's that song by Gwen Stefani? Holla Back.
They played Holla Back Girl for the father-daughter dance?
Because doesn't she spell bananas in that song?
Yeah.
We were like, I remember that very vividly. Like all the girls and their dads are like
A-N-A-N-A-S.
Yeah.
That is why'd they play that song?
I have no idea.
Crazy. I was picturing a little like slow dance song.
Yeah. They did some of that, but like also Holla Back Girl was playing there.
Yeah, they played a lot of songs with some questionable lyrics in there. As dads, we were definitely very nervous in there. Like we all trying to convince ourselves they don't understand the words of these songs. Yeah. I'm sure they don't.
We don't know what's happening. We're unsure.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, concerning. Yeah. It was an adventure. I don't know, Dad, what do you remember about the dance?
I remember that song I'm Supergirl. It was about singing I'm Super Dad.
Oh yeah.
And I remember just dancing as silly as possible because it made you smile. So it was cool.
It was good. It was a fun time.
I love that. That's so sweet. I can't believe your school had a whole father-daughter dance, like dedicated the whole night to father-daughter dancing.
Yes. They did the same for mother-son. I don't think it was as cool as ours.
Yeah, no, not even close. Yeah.
It's not the same. So
nice.
Okay, let's get into kind of our topic for today. How do you feel about Black fatherhood and its representation in TV and film?
Yeah, it's not as well as I would like. Dads these days kind of are played like as the buffoon, the bumbling, addict doesn't know what he's talking about or anything like that. True. And it frustrates me because it takes away the value of dad in the house. It's just like he doesn't know anything, or he's just are oblivious to everything. And there's some truth to it, but the value of dad and like I said, we talked about before, like that consistency, that right. Piece that, like Maya mentioned, like dad's gonna not really be that moved by it, right? He's gonna be very logical about it, but that's such an important piece, to kind of help help people stay afloat, help their children stay afloat. And if you portray him as this bumbling guy, constantly that part gets missed. And then then young men don't know. Like the great thing about there was some show, I won't say any names now, but there were some shows where it showed that great how solid the dad was. What's the one? Good Times. The dad there was solid. And even Uncle Phil from
Mhm.
the Fresh
Fresh
Prince.
Prince.
Even though he was solid, he was strong, right? And he wasn't. You can be soft with your family and but not be a bumbling idiot. And
Right,
that's
Yeah.
right.
and that's
Yeah.
that's sometimes I think we the father gets played too far one side on that. So I that's one I do disagree with a lot.
Yeah, I think in the same hand, it's like dad is bumbling idiot, and then mom is like nagging
Yeah.
know
Right.
it all. Like she's not fun.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
kind of go hand in hand. And it's like,
Yeah.
why did we start doing that?
Yeah.
Right.
Who
Like,
said? That's
Right.
true. I am always kind of surprised about how much like TV does, like it matters, right? TV and film, like seeing a certain type of dad or mom in shows does matter. Like I think even was it Good Times too? I think we were talking about this, that they didn't even want a dad character in there.
Yeah.
But oh gosh, what is her name? The mom in Good Times. What is her name? I forgot.
oh,
I know. Chauncey, where are you?
we need our
Hold on,
Chauncey.
Chauncey. So Esther Roll is the one that asked for a father character to be added to the show because they weren't
Oh,
going to do it
wow.
originally.
Yeah. And it was powerful, right? And it doesn't mean, had to be, rich or, super smart, or it was just that solid piece
Right.
to the household, which is, I just think it's such an important, portrayal that needs to show in family because, you know, I think my grandfather, I think, had like a third grade education, but he was a solid piece to the family,
Yeah.
and you see what I'm saying, and it's just it's important to just see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like along the way, because I feel like, single mothers are definitely a real thing, and we needed to see that representation. But I feel like somewhere along the way, fathers just stopped showing up, and
Yeah.
especially like Black movies and
Right.
TV shows. So it was like it went too far. It was like, okay, but I know a lot of people who have strong relationships with their fathers and
Right.
a lot of grandfathers. And so we're kind of like forgetting those pieces,
Right.
and they equally need to be brought back because, I know, especially like grandfathers, like if you don't have a relationship with your father, like a lot of times you'll have one with your grandfather, etc. So it's like there usually is some piece,
Right.
a fatherly figure, a part of your family. Or even like in Moesha, like Frank served as a dad for Mo's best friend, and that was like an important relationship, even though Hakeem himself, he didn't have a father, but like, you can find fatherly figures. And
Right.
so I feel like in the 2000s on, that got lost a little bit.
Yeah. They just chopped the
Yeah.
whole thing off. They're like,
Yeah, I actually, you remember when Chris Rock talked about like I take care of mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it, like his stand up there,
right.
and it became one of those big things. And I was watching people in the office, not African American at all, repeating that line. It was like it's making me cringe,
Yeah.
and I was
They
like,
don't know what that means.
right, and I kept sitting and thinking. I was like, I actually don't know a bad dad, from a bad black dad. Like first, my family, first of all, I come from a big family and we kind of hold each other accountable. So if I was being a super bad dad, I've heard it. Like they were telling me about
Someone's
myself.
told you already. Yeah.
Right. And I've heard it like a dozen times because there's like several people telling me. But also like even my friends, like most of my friends we may be terrible husbands, good dads, right? Just good dads.
Yeah, show up for the kids.
Yeah. And so what was the weird thing? I actually talked to this doctor about this, and she said that she said that's because statistically that's actually correct. Like Black dads actually participate in their child's life more so than other cultures, even when they're not with the mom. And it apparently was something that that is it's been a misrepresentation
Right.
for such a long time. But it's actually not true. So it made me feel better, and I'm sure it's because we came from a time where a lot of us didn't, from my age group, just didn't have that dad in the home.
Right.
But not to say completely out of our lives, just not in the home, that we tried to make that extra effort so it wouldn't perpetuate, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's that's great because I think it's an overrepresentation that they're not around. I also think in the on the same note, it's also an overrepresentation that Black people don't date each other. Like people are always trying to act like we're seeking out these other races, but I'm like, in real life though, like that might be on TV. Like they try to like create some image on TV, but I'm like, but in real life, Black people are with Black people. Like, I don't know, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I know one of your guys' favorite shows and a moment we wanted to take for one of our favorite TV fathers is for the TV show One on One. So what stood out to you about the father-daughter relationship in One on One?
Yeah, it was Flex. So Flex was that dad that got his daughter, and on the summer times or on the weekends or whatever it was. And so he got to be fun dad, right?
Right.
And that's how the show starts. And then he has to be real dad when his ex moves out of the country. And what he learns is that there being real dad means you have to actually have these real relationship boundaries with your kid, one.
Right.
But two, you also have to start sacrificing some of those selfish things that you would just do for you. And watching him, for me, it was watching him develop that understanding, like me with the shoes and diapers, and just things like you're just figuring out, like, okay, I can't do this anymore, or I can't do that anymore. And it was kind of like that change that I watched, happen, and how they got closer in that sense. So
yes. Yeah, that show is really good. In the beginning, like when she's first there and he's like trying to date all these women still, and you can tell Kyla Pratt is all mad. I was like, yeah, I'd be hella mad. Like, what? Why'd you invite me over here and you're spending all this time with all these girls? And so I was glad he had to grow a little bit, because I was like, yeah, no.
That's not gonna fly.
You're not about to do that while I'm here. So
I know. I think, is it in that first season that Brianna starts like having a bunch of guys follow her and like obsessed with her and stuff like that. And she's like playing all these guys. And then the girl that Flex is dating is like, she's learning that from you. Like she's watching you and you're just teaching her how to do this. So that seems like more of a you problem. Like,
right.
Well, it's kind of fun. Yeah. I was like, you're getting all of this at once.
Yes. And how like she's all like, my dad treats me like an adult, like I'm not a kid. And they're like, okay, well, he needs to not, because now you're out here running rampant. And I was like, yeah, put some rules down. It was really funny.
Yeah, you couldn't be cool dad. And
you want to be like cool, fun parent, but it's like you still have to be a parent,
right? So. Yes. Especially when you're there full time, it's just too much. Like then they're running the house. It's too much.
Yes, but what really did stand out to me is that season 1 finale / early in season 2, when Flex gets asked to, I was about to say audition, try out for the NBA. Audition for basketball. When they asked him to try out for the NBA, and that was like his dream. And then we have Tashina Arnold, all like his mistress, basketball. And I was like, oh, that would be so hard though. But what I really felt for was like, mom was chasing her dream in, where was she? Alaska?
Oh my gosh.
Or Iceland, like
somewhere weird.
Hella far. In Canada.
Canada.
I don't remember the city.
Nova Scotia.
There you go.
Yes.
I was like,
So she's kind of chasing her dream in Nova Scotia. And then Flex wants to chase his dream, go to LA. But Brianna has no say in any of that. Because I'm like,
She's just
either
along for the
where
ride.
she has to go sucks. But then also it's like, well, you know, I'm an adult. I would want to fulfill my dreams or chase it. But I was just like, oh my gosh, being a child where your parents are in two different states, two different
Right.
countries, and having no control over where you can go and what you can do. And then at the same time, feeling empathy for the adult who's just like trying to appease everything, but still, you know, have their own life. I was like, oh my gosh, this
the crisis.
sucks. So I thought that was a really great episode or
Yeah.
couple of episodes illustrating just the choices that you have to make. I did think it was funny though that he would be that good to be asked. I was like, you 33 out of shape,
Making it.
goodbye. I was like, this is not real.
It could really happen. It could really happen.
This is life. Okay.
I keep looking at my phone now.
I'm like, you weren't training. You're not in basketball shape. Like you look good, but you're not in NBA shape. Quit playing. But
yes. So funny.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I love that part. That part hit me hard because I understand. Like I would, you know, you want to chase your dreams, and when Maya was little, you know, that my dream was I was gonna be in a singing group. We were gonna be famous, singing all over the world, and this and that. And I'm singing, and this is again another one of those like steps that I had to take. Was, you know, where we've been singing. I think we were out in like Tennessee performing. Our name is on a marquee and all that stuff, and it's
you were touring.
Yeah, and so we
Nice.
had this good time, and I came back, and we missed our flight, and ended up having to pay extra money to fly back home because we were out playing basketball.
Right.
And
Trying to get in the NBA.
yeah,
That
so
boat,
definitely.
a singer, basketball player.
That's right. It's got to be a movie like
Yeah.
Connected.
singing love and basketball. That's what we'll call
Yeah.
it.
There you go.
I get back. I literally have very little money left over because I had to buy the extra ticket. And then I get home, Maya needs diapers. And I'm sitting there, you know, having to ask my mom to buy diapers for my kid. And it was like, just, I felt so, you know, she didn't say anything, but it was just the look on her face, like, yeah, here you go. And I was like, I don't know. No more. Like that, you know, that was like kind of last straw for me. And so I quit my group to go get a real job where I didn't quit if I was late 3 days in a row. Kind of went on from there.
Yeah. Do you still sing?
Only in the house or the car.
No church choir.
Not professionally anymore.
Not anymore. I like to sing, but I'm usually by myself.
Yeah.
We all do though.
Right. Can we know the name of your group so your fans can look you
So the
up after this episode?
Yeah, so it's still there. It's Soul Fruit is their name. My best friend, he's still a part of that. You know, I think they came in, yeah, her godfather. They came and performed one time, and Maya was like, they were so good too, and they were just grooving so hard on stage and stuff like that. She's like, Dad, don't you wish you would have did that? Don't you miss that? And I'm like, I am tired watching them right now. Like they are.
They do. They had so many moves. Yeah, it was a lot.
Oh my gosh! You don't ever perform with them again for a reunion, like original you members.
We tried it. We keep trying to get a reunion back together. Right before COVID hit, we were really talking about it, and then everything got shut down. So
got it.
Sad.
One of these days, though.
Yeah. We'll see you guys on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope you're able to reunite. But yeah, sacrifice is definitely like a huge thing when you have a family. Like I feel like people don't, if you don't have any kids, like it's not really something you think about. And so when you see it on TV in this way, and when I feel like when you see it on TV, you're able to empathize in a different way. Like I probably wouldn't have felt that way if it were like my real family member, I'd be like, oh my God, like, you know, like you're kind of feeling like, you know, you're going through what you're going through. So I'm not like observing and seeing everything that this other person's going through. So when you see it on TV and you can see everybody's sides, it helps you to have, you know, more empathy and be like, oh wow, like I didn't realize like that must be what that's like to go through that, or etc. So
I mean, but like, so the great thing is I was able to see my best friend kind of go, you know, doing it and doing it well. Like they're amazing. But there was some sacrifices along the way for him, and some of the things that, you know, I was kind of able to do was just, you know, be present. All the little things growing up, for Maya and Shaman, just kind of being there at those events. So you know, not having to travel like he did. You know, I didn't get cheers like he was getting. But, you know,
we did not. No standing ovation for you showing up to our theater performances.
I know, man. There was one she had that was, oh my gosh, that was
the
tough.
Dance recital.
I think it was the dance recital. That was a tough one right there.
See how I know exactly which one it was? He's brought this up before. He's very triggered that he had to watch the whole dance recital.
It was horrible.
Was at the end.
Oh,
so he had to wait the whole time watching other people's kids. He's like,
I do hate when that happens. I've gone to lots of friends' dance recitals and I'm like, why are you only in 2 numbers? I want to see
get in more.
Or like when you don't have like a little kid and the little kids be taking forever. Like they be having the bulk of the segments. And I'm like, okay, like, can I see my friend dance?
Exactly.
Well, at least Paige would have agreed. I was like, you need to sit and watch this whole thing.
I mean, you do because you have to, but sometimes it is kind of annoying. You're like, okay, which next number is my friend in? Like,
well, it was interpreted dance, so I was trying to interpret what the interpreted dance was, and it made it worse. It was like, I have no idea what they're talking about. It was just really rough.
I'm crying.
That's
done.
But yeah, so you know, it's like, what's worth it? Pretty much is the question, because like you would have missed those beautiful moments with your children, but you know, you missed some moments of applause, but it's kind of just like weighing the odds of what's important to you and whatnot.
Right. Yes. And I know another one that you were talking about was Lovecraft, which me and Paige love.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with that. And Tick's relationship with his dad. So what stood out to you about that relationship, that father-son relationship?
Yeah, you know, that one, I thought his dad was just fighting so many things from his own past.
Yeah.
That it actually was hindering him being a good dad to his son.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you know, it forced his son to have this other bond, father figure with his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And then cause that jealousy between his dad and his uncle. You know, you see what I'm saying? And so I just thought it was just an interesting dynamic there.
Yes, because it was so layered.
Yeah, because they actually all loved each other like very, very dearly. It was just but it caused that distance there, which I just thought was interesting.
It focuses a lot on like generational trauma, I feel.
Right.
And I feel like that's also like a hot discussion now about because, you know, generational trauma affects the way you raise your children.
Right.
And so people are now, and I guess you could say Lovecraft also did this a little bit, is about breaking generational curses. And but another interesting layer of Lovecraft was that his uncle was actually his dad.
Yes.
And then so it's so like intertwined all crazy. And I feel so bad for Tick, who's just so confused. And I thought the dad, he just was man, you had so much empathy, even though like you were mad at him because he was so mean to Tick. But then when you see like what he's going through, you're like, dang, like I don't you just feel for him. Michael Kenneth Williams, I think, just gave a stellar performance.
He did.
He really did. He made you. It did make you empathize with them and understand. And I think, well, just how it was written just made you understand.
Right.
They really showed you like that pit that
Yeah.
those dynamics involved there. And I think it just stood out to me, like just all the things that was going on in his life and how it impacted everything going forward. Because, and I caught, because I went back and rewatched it, that, when they first run into him in the I guess that castle.
Oh yeah,
he's asking him, like, you used to draw all the time, used to draw all these signs all the time. And he's like, why'd you stop? He's like, I didn't draw. I was like, yeah, you did. You remember you used to draw all these signs, and you used to hold them up when the Negro baseball players would come by, and you'd be whistling. And he said, Dad beat it out of me because he was attracted to the men. Right. And so his dad, and I just caught that this time around. I was like, this dude, he just like, you're like you said, Paige, he was traumatized.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot.
Yeah, I know. I think that's so watching that show literally like tore me up inside sometimes, like especially that Tulsa episode. When we actually see like how his dad was treating him, and how there was a difference between how he treated his brother, and like all of those dynamics, and how that just continued down the line. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy, but it was so important because Tick needed to see that. Like Tick needed to know that so he could understand, like his dad, his dad didn't just pop out that way. He wasn't just like that all the time. He's seen some horrible things, and that's why, he treated you. Yes, it was wrong to treat you that way, but like he's, you only love people the way you were shown love. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that was so important to see, but it was heartbreaking to watch. It was really completely heartbreaking to see that. So
I know. You know what? The men of Lovecraft are honestly not talked about enough. Courtney B. Vance, Michael K. Williams, Jonathan Majors were killing it.
Yeah, amazing.
Just amazing. The dynamics they played, the layers they really had to uncover, because yes, we see Michael K. Williams and how his dad treated him, and literally exactly why he treats Tick the way he treats Tick. And then Tick even learning that his dad was homosexual and being like, you used to beat me and call me a sissy, like all these things.
Trying to put all of that together.
Putting it together to make it make sense. It's so much. And that's why, Jonathan Majors as Tick is just like, he be going through so much.
Yes.
But it's just amazing that they were able to put that in a 10 episode arc. And doesn't Tick write a letter
to his dad,
saying like, you can
start over now. You have a new chance
with your grandchild.
Yeah.
So sad.
So true.
Yeah. Great cast. Great show.
Yes, I know. All the way around, that was just amazing. And I think it helped us, like, not helped us, but it showed us a different side. I hope more people saw it, because it was really just enlightening. Like, this is not, his dad, when his dad was around, he was horrible, and then he was like out of his life, right? But they all needed each other at the end of the day. They all were really important to each other at the end of the day. Like, you just see the bad part, but you have to see the connection.
There was that love still.
Yeah, you can see the love. Yeah, you can see the
either
love
way.
Yeah.
So good.
Yes. I'm just like,
we love this show.
I'm in it now.
It's a powerful show. There's an episode that is super scary.
Yeah, it's definitely scary, but powerful.
Yeah,
very powerful.
You have to be there for the messages.
Yeah. I watched one episode with the light on, so we know it's
that one in the dark.
Yeah, it's that one scary, the one with the scary girls. We didn't like that one.
Woo.
Yeah, had to run. I told Paige I fast forwarded. I was like, okay, bye.
I was like, you have to watch it all. And she's like, not that one.
I got to go.
Yeah, I was in quarantine. I was just watching, and it was like in the middle of the night, and that one came on. I turned all the lights, set up in the bed. I was like, let's just watch it this way.
Yeah,
maybe I'll wait till morning.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Well, I know we had one more dad character we sort of wanted to talk about, and that is from The Great Debaters. So you wanted to take a look at Forrest Whitaker's character and talk about some dad elements with him.
Yeah. So in that The Great Debaters there, he's Forrest Whitaker is like the pastor of the church. He's like this big figure in the community there. And his son looks up to him like this man is just larger than life. Like, and he just wants to impress him and just thinks the world of him. And the it's going through the entire like his that relationship development because his son's younger, as smart
Right.
as can be, but in college. But he gets to see his dad in this light after his dad is gives him this talking to like, hey son, we do what we have to do so we can do what we want to do, right? Just being as this really mature thing, right? And just a big grown up and a big burly guy. They hit the pig and or have this accident with this pig farmer there. A white man, a white man that's a low class white citizen for
Right.
that time, but it's Jim Crow era, right? And
Right.
so even though class wise, his dad, here we are with the Forrest Whitaker character, is very educated, very well put together, very good father, smart, and this other gentleman who's not very intelligent, but the law is on his side.
Right.
And so for class, that dynamic showing that even though in today's society the class would be like this, right? But in that time it was flipped anyway, so it didn't matter, like being white just trumped it.
Right.
And so he has an incident where he's trying to clearly it wasn't really his fault with the pig, and the gentleman takes the opportunity to kind of talk down to him and really treat him like he's less than nothing, and his dad cannot do anything about it. And so he's seeing his dad for the first time in this light of like little,
Right.
and
Yeah.
because of what society is right now. And he's you can see him, he's crying, he's mad, angry, and ashamed for his dad all at once.
Yeah.
And Forrest Whitaker handles it like a champ. Even gives away his money, right? Because his pride, as a dad, his pride, he takes all his pride off the table there. And he's like, I just want to make sure my family gets home.
Yeah.
Yes, like that's the most important thing.
Right.
So, that scene was like one of the biggest ones that, that stood out to me there. As like as the show goes on, because the son was wanting to impress his dad, he's having a hard time doing it because his dad has this just much higher standard for him. But as he starts to come into his own, they clash. But this time the son is standing his ground, and now the dad has to understand his son has become a man. He's seen some things. The world is different to him, and now he has to respect him as a man. So, and that's every dad goes through that. So,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was like a big realization moment for the son. I also like how they did illustrate the class difference. And when Forrest Whitaker says, I'll endorse the check over to you, and the white pig farmer goes, huh? Like has no idea what that word means.
Right.
And he's like, I'll give you this check and sign it and, sign it over to you. And he's like, oh yeah, do that and pick up this pig and do this.
Right.
Da, 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 da. And so, yeah, seeing the class distinction, but also like fully seeing racism at play,
Right.
and what that does, because that definitely was a tactic that also destroyed families in belittling the parents and breaking up that structure of you're not really allowed to be a man, or you're not allowed to be a woman, you're not allowed to you're not seen as human. So in your family unit, you're seen one way, but then when you realize like the world treats you another way, it's just like a whole different dynamic thrown on top of that. And so how do you feel that, as a Black father, how has racism changed the way that you parent?
Yeah, that's actually a tough question. Well, not a tough question. That's a deep question. Maya will tell you, when they were little, I grew up in elementary school. So I'm in elementary school in the 70s. So remember the 60s is when they got the civil rights started getting pushed through and desegregation started happening.
Mhm.
So in the 70s, have Evelyn, baby.
Oh, hello. We have
another guest.
another sibling in the mix,
Come
Hi,
say.
boo.
celebrating her father.
So
Hi,
you
Evelyn.
say hi. Okay, but you have to just listen, okay? Okay, you can't have dialogue, okay?
You can't have dialogue.
No dialogue.
So for me, like I experienced racism from my teachers. I experienced racism, from classmates, and I broke in my elbow in second grade, and no card, no nothing. Went to me. Was out for weeks, and then I get back, and some other kid is broken leg, broken arm, and we all have to write, a little card. And I'm like, and I asked, like, hey, I need one of these, right? So I noticed little things, and I saw
What'd they
little
say?
things.
Like,
She
how
was
did
like,
they answer that?
I don't even remember what she said, but she just blew me right off. Like it was like no big deal.
Wow.
And I was just automatically assumed wrong a lot.
Right.
That I did something wrong. And I went to an all-white elementary school.
Right.
So I remember experiencing, racism. And so when Maya and them was coming up, I would tell them, like, hey, if you feel like you're not being treated fairly, let me know. And I will go down there and defend you to the T over that. I understand this stuff happens. If you see them treating you differently than they're treating somebody else, let me know. Dad's got your back. And so I don't think Maya and Shimon ever experienced it, so I guess, in hindsight, 20, it's almost 20 years later, it was different for them, but
yeah,
for sure it impacted how I looked at things. I want to make sure that my kids weren't mistreated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that it would even come up because, like, what I really did appreciate as a kid is we talked a lot. Like, I feel like the reason I'm always thinking through things so thoroughly is because we, just as a family, would just talk things through a lot. And so that came into play a lot when we were bringing up racism and things like that, because I went into school being highly aware of that, like thinking about it and, just knowing like, hey, someone's treating me a little, because me and Shimon both have little experiences, like nothing really huge or nothing where I could be like, Dad, come down here and tell me, none of those big moments, but definitely things came up. And I was always very highly aware, like, okay, this is racism. Like this is, the reason that this is different for them and it's different for me, or the reason you're treating someone different is because our skin color, like that's what you care about. But it would just show up in little ways and stuff like that. And so I think growing up with parents that had experienced racism and they're, in school and things like that made it more of a topic at home. So if we experienced it, it wasn't like, oh, well, that's just how things go. It was never that. It was like, what was said? Like, why was it said that way? Who did they say to anybody else? That kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it was, I don't know. I think it was because you guys experienced it firsthand, growing up, that it was more of a conversation for us as kids. Which is probably also why I'm super aware of it now too.
So you sort of like prepped your kids like, hey, you might be treated differently because of your skin color. Like you had one of those conversations.
Yeah, that, and always make sure they knew they were confident in themselves. Like, hey, be proud to be Black. Like this is your identity. You're Black. Right. And not only you're Black, it is a good thing that you're Black. You're Black. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You can do anything, right? Because it was, we, you get told what you can and can't do,
right?
I had my friends going to college bound classes, and I was like, "What's that?" Like, yeah, don't worry about it.
You don't need to know.
It's not for you, buddy. So
wow.
so little things, and
yeah,
be confident in yourself, and you define yourself, and don't let nobody else define you. So
yeah,
that is so good, because I feel like there are moments like in TV and film where you have like a Black dad talking to their son, like, you're a Black man, and like, this is what it's going to be like. But whenever I ask my friends in real life if they ever like actually had a conversation like that, I get no's a lot. So
really?
yeah, so that is, I mean, it's not necessarily either it's a no, or it's like, well, it wasn't like a sit down, hey, you're Black. Like it sort of comes spurst out, based on, instances, etc. So it does happen, but it's not like a
moment,
a big moment as they'll make it in TV and film. But I have gotten a few like, not really. And you kind of just like find out when you're growing up. It's more of you just kind of get told, and then you realize like, okay. So honestly, that sounds very refreshing and healthy to hear that you were really like, you are Black, you are beautiful, be proud. And like, people might think this, but don't let that deter you from doing what you want to do. Like, that's really great.
Yeah.
As parents are and I don't even know where I got this from. I don't know if I got it from my parents, who got it from their parents. My mom just wanted to make sure that my grandmother just wanted to make sure my mom had a better start for her adult life than she did.
Yeah.
My mother wanted to make sure I had a better adult start than she did, and I wanted to make sure that I want to make sure all my kids have a better adult start than I did, right? Just like, so we continue to move upward, right? And I'll be honest there, I have my limitations. I stopped being able to help Maya in math in like the 7th grade. She was like, took 2 hours, or was it like 2 hours or something like that, helping her with her math homework. And I was like really into it, and we were like talking about it, and it was very passionate discussion about her math homework.
Drawing symbol, like the shapes and the carpet. Yeah, it was geometry.
And she took it to school, and it was all wrong. They told her like, hey, why don't you just have your parents help you with it? And she was like, I was embarrassed to tell them, Dad, that you did help me.
You know what? Geometry is hard. Okay. Because my uncle, does construction, and he builds things. And so he works with geometry literally every day. And I remember him like trying to be like, can you help me? I still didn't get it. He like uses it in a different way. Like school like teaches to how they want you to do it, not just like, how do you come up with the answer? So, and you haven't been in school in forever. Why would you just be knowing geometry like that? Like off the bat, the formulas that they teach and how they want you to do it, it never applies to real life, because I'm like, how my uncle, a whole builder, doing geometry this way, and you want to tell me that's wrong? I'm like, he's using it in real life, and we're using it for fake in the book.
This is for fake.
Because if his is wrong, we're in trouble.
Right. Yeah, right. People are unsafe.
So that's rude of them being like, just have your parents help you. Like, what? Get me a tutor. Tell me where to go to the library for tutoring. Like, or you help me. You don't have after school tutoring. Yeah. Like, be a better teacher.
Someone help better than us.
Well, Maya found better resources, because she didn't ask me again. I was like, hey, you need help? She's like, no, Dad, I got it. I'm good.
That's okay. The way they do everything now, like I hear little kids talking about like, oh, my homework, it's stuff I don't even understand anymore. So I'm like,
they do math differently now.
Yeah, math is different. I don't understand how math can be different, but it is different now.
They change it.
We just let that go. Just let it go. We won't help anybody.
Yeah, it's a lost cause. Teachers should be the ones helping. That's why you got a degree and you're a teacher. I didn't study this. Like, what?
I don't know it. Don't test me like this.
Don't test me on this. It's crazy. But that is beautiful. I'm so happy you were able to come on here.
Yes,
and share these moments. Imia, I'm happy this is your dad. I'm happy that you gave us Imia, Mr. Hawkins. We love the Pepperdine dad repping.
I know,
Yes,
represent
rep
there. Yes.
Yes, and this
thank you
was so
for
special.
thanks for letting me be on the show. I've been begging for like years now to be a part of this. Like I was trying to pitch ideas.
Yeah,
I
he
tried to
was.
work ideas into the
He
conversation like that. We weren't even talking about that. Why would you even bring up the podcast? Like, we weren't even talking about it.
That's not happening.
You are our first official guest. So.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you're
everyone
our first
else. Yeah.
Yes, this is a whole episode. We've had little Instagram live moments, but we've never done a whole episode with a guest. So
there you go.
So here you go. You are being honored.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You got what you wanted. There it is.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I'm very proud of you guys. This is love your podcast here. I am not that savvy on technologies, or social media, I should say. So Maya will know, like, hey, I accidentally ended up on, what was that, Snapchat before. I just didn't know how.
Didn't even know how I got there.
Oh my gosh.
So here we are.
But here we are, technology masters here, recording an audio and visual episode of a podcast. Imia, did you have any last words about your father-daughter moments? You want to leave us with something?
Well, obviously the reason we have this episode is because we know that father-daughter relationships are so important. So obviously I'm super blessed to have mine. And you saw my little sister who also has her father-daughter father-daughter relationship. But yes, no, obviously we think our dad is Superman. And so glad to have you. I was glad to get your perspective. And my dad likes talking about TV and movies too. So this is just all the synergy happening. Yes. Love it. Here for it. Thanks, Dad.
Yes.
Thank
and happy Father's Day.
Yes. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much. This is going to be one of the best ones ever.
Best one.
Happy to give it, the hype it needed.
Right.
Before you were like, it's been fine. So I hope this
hopefully it's good.
Yeah. Now it's got a new standard now. I'm be like, hey, next year it's going to be like, hey,
where's my episode?
Where's my episode? Like,
I know. How do we top this now?
I know. Bust down the door. Me and Paige are recording in a full studio.
Yes. In person, a live episode.
Oh, that would be great.
There you go. Here we are.
Yes, but thank you, Patreon listeners, for joining us for this fabulous bonus episode, and we'll see you next time on the next bonus episode.
Yes.
Bye.
Same time, same place.